microphone moving up in the world. So absolutely.
Wow, it looks like you're in the Bay Area.
I know. I'm grateful for Zoom to transport me astrally right into the Bay Area. So I am so happy to be here and so happy to be with all of you today. I actually want to talk about something that has been brought up already this morning with truth in the invocation about bringing us together, unifying ourselves, living in that space of love. And in that beautiful meditation that Mary just did, that centering, bringing us within to our soul and to our spirit, which is where our true power lies. We know this and how this helps. And I don't know how many of you know what today is, actually. Today is an extremely important day for the National Spiritualist Association of Churches. And it was on this day, probably at this time as I am speaking, so I'm getting goosebumps up and down my body, that hundreds of spiritualists came together to form and unite as an organization of spiritualists to bring and spread the truth of spiritualism to the world. It was 127 years ago. I know that's hard to think about, but just think about that we all came together, or spiritualists had came together to unite into the association that we now know as the NSAC. And I want to share today with you some of the inspired words that were shared on this exact day, 127 years ago, and maybe right at this moment, as they hopefully will inspire you to live a life filled with the science, philosophy, and religion of spiritualism. So before we begin, or before I begin to talk about and read about some of the things in which took place on this day just in that time period, I want you to shift your attention, your energy, to the thoughts of that time in which the convention took place. 1893. Travel was long. It was difficult to get anywhere. And most important, rights and freedoms were not equal. Yet there was a sense of hope, of light, of love, and of unity. The peace that was offered to us from spirit through mediums of that time gave us that light, that love, that hope, that unity, and that truth. So I want to quote Mrs. Cora L. Richmond, who addressed the spiritualists gathered there by the hundreds that day. Her exact words are this: "It is our pleasing duty to be here in this outset, and before anyone knows what will be the work of this convention, we welcome you as spiritualists, co-workers, friends of human life everywhere, to Chicago. To welcome you as representatives of the proudest, freest, and most blessed light that heaven has ever given to us. Today, you are welcome because of this great light that has come into this world and has set you free. Free to think your own thoughts, free to worship in your own way, free to name or not name what you believe a religion, free to call it a science, philosophy, or religion, or combined all three. But never free to deny truth as you know it, never free to falsify one another, never free in any way whatever to dim the glorious light that has been shed by Spirit to this world. The spirits organized this movement, and the invisible world gave the impulse to carry it forward. And the spirit world chose two little girls to be the instruments for the Rochester wrappings, and has chosen men and women to represent the truth because it is the truth of humanity. Spiritualism does not recognize man or woman spiritually in any movement, but it recognizes humanity everywhere. Whatever you have to offer, we expect your best thoughts. Whatever suggestions you might have to make, we expect your best suggestions. And the spirit world, which has poured out its gifts upon you, expects you to show at this time and place what those spiritual gifts have done for you, how much they have uplifted and strengthened your lives, how much they have aided you in carrying forward the best endeavors for humanity. Those words were the words that rang out maybe right now into the universe 127 years ago. So what does that mean for us today? It means that we must unite as spirit and spiritualists to bring the truth and the comfort that we have found in this great realm of spirit to one another and to those who seek it. You see, we all have assets to share with the world. We all have different life experiences, what gives us different perspectives. And we all have been touched by spirit in some way, shape, or form. If you are seeking, continue to seek. And if you know the truths of spiritualism, carry the torch and the light proudly. Let us find inspiration in those who have paved the way before us. And let us seek to find our own inspiration with spirit and freely share it with others. Let us open our arms to one another instead of closing doors. Let us embrace all humanity. As Spirit has shown and told us numerous times, we are all one. We are all part of humanity. And it is only in our ignorance, fear, and stubbornness that we divide. For it is in that center, like Mary talked about, it is in that loving energy of our soul and spirit that we must unite. We are reminded of the love that we have. We are reminded of the love that we are. And we have it truly at our fingertips, right in our center, if we choose. So today I ask that you choose to connect with that love within, and that you shine it brightly and carry your truth forward, unafraid to shine. Miss Ada Sheen, who was at this convention, said it best as she addressed the delegates. As spiritualists, we believe just what we can, and we have learned that belief cannot be forced. So carry your truth and spread it, but don't force it upon anyone. We are a religion of conviction and knowledge. We live our truth. Continue to challenge your thoughts, push outside of the box, and see that you connect to the knowledge of those in spirit. Use their love, use their inspiration and their knowledge to inspire to be the best you that you can be. Believe and then know everything is possible when led in love. So my question is, will you lead in love? If that is a yes, commit to yourself today and now in this moment that all your actions forever be led in love. Let us unite in the love of spirit and spiritualism. Let us embrace what the spirit world shows us and teaches us with every pure connection made, be it through messages of connection to your loved ones, be it to our teachers, our guides, our angels that guard us and walk with us as we go on this spiritual journey. Be it that connections are made from other mediums and you hear the beautiful words of inspiration. Know that we are all one and that we live forever and that we are love and none of us are separate from or denied from the spirit and the soul. To conclude this discussion, I'd like to read to you a poem that ended the first convention on September 29th, 1893. Now let me tell you, it wasn't easy to get groups of hundreds of people together deciding what the truth was going to be. So it took hours of debating, compromising, organizing, and being guided by spirit that we have this beautiful organization today. But what I find most amazing is the conclusion of this convention that brought us, one, the organization, but also brought us this poem that was inspired by the spirit guides of Mrs. Cora Richmond and Mrs. Orvis. And this poem came, each one of them taking turns through each phase. I have to put my glasses on. Sorry, everybody. I need to read. So as I read this poem, feel and go to that place of love, of center that Mary took us to, the place in which our soul resides, the place in which eternity and opportunity and all dreams can manifest. Connect to that place to yourself now as I read this poem that was inspired by Spirit. All of nature is truly organized. The divine intelligence breathes forth, and for the purpose of love, kindles each flaming sun and earth, declares in wells of living light the law of life, supreme, divine, and in each star bloom unfolds to sight the myriad rays that in heaven shine. God's love doth speak of word divine, supreme and perfect everywhere, and as each heart is made a shrine, for whispered through of a silent prayer, these, organized by you, shall bring new power to this work today, until the nations shall sing the song of truth upon their way. It is in the spirit from within that we must create our outward form, possessing all of life to win, to kindle here the life glow warm, and each a portion of the whole, one individual may be complete, makes up the form for a perfect soul. But many souls in many forms will meet. And as the soul from realms divine, expressed in mortal form below, in wondrous light and glory shine, so we, out of the radiant glow, seem but reflections of the light that shineth from the soul supreme, in the shade of earthly night, a single ray, a flickering gleam, but all united, one grand whole, all organized by love's great power, bound in its perfect blessed control, move onward, upward, evermore. And so no star can shine alone, but all around some central sun must confess the power of the blessed throne by which its radiance is ever one. So round the truth let us all move, as co-related to the world, until by impulse of God's love, we are one in the light of the soul. And so came the end of the very first convention to unite us, to honor us, and to bring love to all of those who we cross paths with. So I hope as you go on this day that you remain in that center. You remain in the soul that you are, and know that your light will be seen by all those you cross paths with. Thank you.